Hello, my friend. Today I want to share with you a simple technique that you can use to find greater inner peace as you go throughout your day. This technique is so simple and it's something that I think all of us overlook. And I think I learned this technique from Eckhart Tolle in his book, The Power of Now. Many years ago I learned this, but I really found it very helpful in my own life. Now, what it is just changing your visual focus as you go through your day. See, what most of us do, if not all of us, or a large percentage of us, what we do is focus on individual objects in our environment. We focus on the things in our environment. We see, things, people, objects. The ego or the mind is obsessively focused on things, on objects. It wants to pick out things from the environment, to make comments on it, judge it, label it, criticize it, or whatever. It wants to manipulate reality. And so it's always focusing on the physicality of things. And that can cause a lot of stress because our mind is always jumping around, making all these judgments and having all these opinions about a million different things because the world is full of a million different things. But if we can practice switching our focus from focusing on the physicality of things to focusing on what is it that makes all that physicality possible. What it is the empty space. Okay? If it weren't for space itself, then none of these physical objects could even be here for us to recognize and to comment on or manipulate or work with or whatever. So when you move your focus from trying to manipulate or comment on things in your environment or people, focus on the space that encompasses all of it. So it's very simple in practice, really. So you can do it right now. You can practice right now, even as you're watching this video. So you're looking straight ahead, you're watching the screen, and you might be focusing on my face or watching my lips move or listening to my voice. Well, you can still listen to my voice, but instead of focusing on the picture of my face or the screen that you see in front of you, focus on the space in between you and the screen. Just try it really quick. Just focus on the space in between rather than anything in particular. Now, if you do this, what you'll notice is that your visual field goes from being very small to widening. And when you're aware of the space, suddenly you're aware of everything in your environment at the same time. And there's no focus on any one thing in particular. I'm actually doing this right now as I'm speaking. I'm not focusing on anything in particular. I'm aware of my whole visual field. So you could think of this like your peripheral vision. Rather than focused vision, use peripheral vision as you go through your day. And this calms you. It makes you much more at peace. Now, I do want to warn you, don't do this while you're doing things that actually require your focus, like driving or cutting something with a knife, something that could be dangerous, or that you actually need to focus on. But 95% of the time or more, we don't actually need to be focusing on any one thing in particular. We can still do our regular daily activities with conscious awareness of everything. And it's hard to explain in words, but if you just do it, you'll see what it's like in practice. Like, you can really do this even while doing things like doing work tasks at work, or like in my example, I do a lot of writing, making these videos. Really, making these videos or writing or doing creative tasks of any kind, it doesn't really require a lot of focus. It doesn't require concentration in the ordinary sense, but really it just requires awareness. And I find that if I get too focused on trying to do something, trying to make it perfect, because the mind would like things to be perfect, the mind wants things to be exactly how it wants them to be. But if you can step back from that manipulative state of consciousness and move into an expanded sense of consciousness and awareness. And that's a non-manipulative state of consciousness. So that's where you can just witness your life. You can change things, you can do things, but you're the witness rather than the manipulator. You're not the one judging and criticizing and commenting on everything. You're just the witness of all of it. And you can choose one thing or choose another. You can go in this direction or you can go in that direction. And there's no stress involved anymore because you're not coming from a manipulative state of consciousness. And what happens when you try to manipulate your world, you're going to end up frustrated because the world will never be able to conform to all of your wants, desires, and expectations. And so your ego, your mind, is going to be frustrated that it can't get what it wants. Because you can't manipulate other people into doing what you want them to do. A lot of situations are completely out of your control. And so if you come from a manipulative state of consciousness, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be stressed. But if you focus on the empty space that surrounds everything, focus on what makes everything possible, and move from focused manipulative consciousness to expanded, relaxed awareness, then you can step outside of your ego kind of and just, see everything for what it is. You don't have to judge anything or comment on anything or have opinions about anything or beliefs. And you can just live in peace and make decisions from a more relaxed place. And it's just such an extraordinary little technique. And it's very hard to explain it in words. You really have to do it, practice it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So just use this little technique for maybe the rest of today. If you find it useful, then keep using it and see what happens in your life. See how much more calm it makes you feel. So once again, the technique is very simple. It's just, instead of focusing so much on objects, people, things, focus on the empty space. So really it's a visual exercise. It's, instead of visually focusing on specifics, move your vision into peripheral vision, you could call it, where you're aware of everything in your environment at the same time, and you're not picking out things in your environment to focus on or manipulate. You're focused on everything at the same time. And the way you get to that is just by looking at the empty space. So right now, I'm looking at the empty space in this room. And when I do that, I suddenly become aware of the totality of the room all at one time. And so I'm relaxed. I'm not trying to do anything. It's just a relaxed state of consciousness. And I feel much more relaxed in my body because of that. So I hope this makes sense to you. I hope this helps. Try it out, see what happens. If you found this helpful, leave this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm wishing you the best. Take care. Talk soon. Much love.